Yo! I'm back with an experience I want to teach. So hopefully someone can learn something from this. Okay? So as the title says, how do you keep pushing despite wanting to stop, right? Lately, I've been feeling this emotion. I've been feeling this quite a bit, like a lot actually. Because I'm trying to lift weights, and since my job is as a delivery boy on my bicycle, it's pretty hardcore, really, for me. And so I'm struggling with recovering and working. In any ways, despite having not recovering completely, I still managed to push to the point where I just don't want to do it anymore, and let's just keep pushing, right, until I decided, I should recover and then work when it matters. So I want to begin with mentioning David Goggins. I really admire him, actually. I will mention him. I've learned so many things from him. And David Goggins said something like, you can have the theory, you could read a bunch of books, watch videos on how to keep pushing when you're facing hard times, like visualization and having goals, or doing this, blah blah blah. But you won't actually know what or if it works unless you get your ass into some deep shit and actually suffer. Then you can start trying to look for what works, Then you can start visualizations, goals. You can start putting goals and start thinking about, how am I gonna get out of this, or how am I gonna learn from this. It's when you're suffering, when you have that's when you're suffering, when you have to look for these things, right? And in my experience, things that have helped me push is first realizing that the majority of the game of life is mental. If you don't control this, it controls you. If you don't control your mind, you don't feed it, if you don't nurture it, if you're not constantly or trying to improve mental endurance, then it doesn't matter how capable you are physically. It won't matter unless you can't push mentally, right? So the first thing that helped me is realizing that it's a mental game. First of all, when you think you're tired, you're not really that tired, and you can push a little bit more or quite a bit more depending on who you are and how uncomfortable you've been in the past, right? But things that have helped me push, first of all, have been motivational content. And I don't mean videos. I don't watch videos that much. I actually don't directly search for motivational content when I want to keep pushing. But in my experience, it's been more of an indirect effect. In my experience, I have read books of people pushing hard as fuck and pushing and being in situations way worse than mine and keep pushing. For example, as of lately, I've been grinding myself to the pulp, alright? So I was reading this book called The Ultra Mindset by Travis Massey. And I was reading how he was despite me grinding myself to the pulp and having no energy at all, is that reading about people who are pushing harder than me or who are pushing it hard motivates me. It just turns on a switch, and suddenly my perceived fatigue goes down, right? Books written by people who are achieving absolutely amazing feats of endurance or beating themselves, most importantly beating their minds, it's the book The Ultra Mindset, right? I cannot understand what adventure triathlons are, but I can only comprehend from reading his book. And honestly, reading someone who is going hard and beyond beating himself to a pulp in a team, truly doing a triathlon, basically that's 1 week long continuously in just sleep, being so, like, pushing so hard to the point you have to sleep on the floor, nap, and then keep going for like another 100 miles or keep running. And not only that, to persist in extreme conditions like climbing mountains, being in the snow, being in the desert. That's just wow. Really, that gives me energy. It gives me a lot of energy because, wow. For me, that's greatness. That's just amazing, man. Reading people going hard in the snow in team competitions, hiking mountains, and then riding bikes for 100 miles to the finish line, and breaking multiple times, wanting to quit multiple times in the event, and somehow muster the courage to get back up and continue, to keep pushing way past what he wanted to. I find that really inspiring, especially when I feel like that, right? And he says something in the book like, I love running. He was doing a competition. He was doing an ultra marathon for like 100 miles, and he says something like, I love running, but who the heck wants to run 30 miles after running 70? And that's where the mental game gets in, Really, that's just amazing. I would really imagine this stuff in my stories. I would imagine the pain. I would imagine what they were feeling. I would feel their pain. And really that has really helped me. Besides that, I was reading this other book called Hard Times Create Strong Men. And of lately, I've been reflecting quite a bit, actually. Because I've been realizing, the world is pretty cruel. It's pretty sad, it's pretty depressing, actually. So what's the point of keep going? Or what's my purpose? Or, like, what's my purpose? Or why should I continue pushing? Like, right? Or why should I continue living? Really deep questions. And I have actually, every time I ask myself, why should I keep pushing? Or what's my purpose? I don't know exactly what it is, but something inside of me yells at me strongly that my purpose has to do strongly with sports, with being an athlete. That's primarily what my purpose is. Or at least I should continue to the point I can do incredible feats of strength, in gymnastics, for example. But then I realized, as of lately, I've been feeling quite down, right? And then sometimes I don't want to go to the gym. But despite that, I managed to drag myself to the gym, and then in 80% of the results is just showing up, right? That's a quote. And I just show up, and suddenly I just forget about everything, and I come out as a new person. I come out refreshed, positive, with a positive outlook on life. I come out feeling stronger, not only physically, but psychologically. I feel like I'm so stronger than before, that I can take on bigger challenges, that I can confront bigger obstacles that life throws at me. So what's the point of keep going? And I was reflecting that, shit is fucked up, that I found out that my reason to keep going, or perhaps my purpose in life, is that I find strength in my passions. Caramelo. I find strength in my passions. For example, going to the gym. When I go there, despite I'm feeling sad, or feeling low, or feeling powerless, or hopeless, or depressive, sad, despite feeling whatever I could feel like, I come out as a better person, as a stronger person. I come out as a new person, refreshed. And suddenly, all the negative thoughts I was having, all the negative feelings I was having, they stopped mattering, because I'm stronger now. I can take them on. I can beat them. I can become better than them. So that's, and apart from like going to the gym, singing, music. I didn't want to go to like music classes yesterday, singing classes. I didn't want to go. I was really fatigued. My legs were, they were tired. They were tired, and I have to go walking all the way up a hill just to go there. But somehow, I managed to drag myself there. And I broke it, just like I broke a PR in the gym. I broke a new PR in singing classes. What does that mean? I sang way better with more technique. It sounded way better. I did it way better. I basically performed way better. I performed better than before. And that actually motivated me. That actually made me feel good. Because, life is sad, life is cruel, life is unfair. But I find strength in my passions. I find strength becoming better than who I was yesterday. Personal development. I find the strength in striving for greatness. And that's one day at a time. One class at a time. Right? And I also realized something else, when I beat myself, when I go to these things, when these things give me strength, when I gain strength from these stuff, I also gain pride, which is very important. I've just completely changed the outlook upon myself, right? So, passions. You gotta have passions. You have to have something that you like doing. That it would suck if you weren't able to do them. For some people it's going to the gym. For some people it's singing. I don't know. Just you need to have a passion. You need to have a dream. You need to have a goal in life. You need to have a vision. Because if you don't have a dream, you don't have a goal, you don't have a vision, life will just crush you, man. You don't have a dream, you don't have a purpose, you don't strive for anything, man. Life is just gonna crush you, because you're not gonna gain strength from anything. And talking about another book I was reading, Hard Times Create Strong Men, I realized that my purpose has to do something with gymnastics. Why? Because in this book they talk about what does it mean to have a purpose. When we have a purpose, you wake up early without an alarm. You stay up late and stay focused late into the night. You never tire. Your purpose is an obsession. And I realized this is exactly how I felt in gymnastics. An obsession. It was late at night, but I would stay focused. And suddenly you would just forget everything. You were I felt like I was in my place. Right there and there. And I would just forget everything. Problems, I would just forget everything. I would just be in the moment with the gymnastics. And I would come out, and I would grind myself in gymnastics to a pulp as well. I would work out until, way past fatigue, until my shoulders were burning, and I would come back stronger. It's kind of sadistic, but when you love something like that, you push yourself, man. It's very easy to push yourself, and you're gonna get results. And I would obsess over gymnastics. I would go to sleep thinking about, how would I can improve my movement? How would I visualizing the technique, visualizing myself doing the exercise. And right now, the thing that I want the fucking most is to get back into gymnastics, but I currently don't have the money. Not yet, at least. Not yet. So yeah, hopefully this can teach you, whoever's watching, how to continue in life, how to keep going when you want to stop. You first, reading books, reading stuff, biographies, autobiographies, people who inspire you, motivate you, and then you need to have a dream, passions, dude. or else life is just gonna kind of crush you like a boulder, man. Yeah,